Welcome to the Dogtor Bros, where we have an honest discussion around vet life in and out of the clinic. My name is Chris, and I'm your doc of the day and your guide through this episode. I'm a veterinarian living in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and I'm here with my closest friends from vet school.
Hey, this is Adam. I'm a relief veterinarian in Louisville, Kentucky.
Hey, this is Jeff. I'm a dermatology associate veterinarian, also in Louisville, Kentucky.
And this is Chris, and we want to welcome back Dr. Josh Huitt to this episode. Attended Berry College in Rome, Georgia. He earned his bachelor's in animal science from there. He attended Lincoln Memorial University in their inaugural class of veterinary medicine and received his DVM in 2018. He began his career in South Carolina at a mixed animal clinic where he could be found both in office and assisting local farmers. After 3 years, he relocated to Jacksonville, Florida to work as a GP, where he now is a medical director. In his time away from work, he enjoys paddleboarding, fishing, cooking, and watching college football. Welcome back, Josh.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
Thanks for coming back on the show. We'll start off with our game, and then we'll jump into everything. What is the best dad joke or pun that you have heard? And this is specifically for JT, because I know this is his favorite question.
I hate dad jokes and puns. I don't even have one. I hate this.
This is Adam. Okay, so I have way too many to choose from, but all
great.
Okay. All right, so we'll go with this one. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Britney Spears.
Britney
Spears who?
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Who's there?
Oops, I did it again.
Oh man,
I'm quitting the podcast.
And there's the other one that I told you about, the chiropractor. It's about a week back.
I don't.
Okay, I'm done. That's my time. Thank you.
That was Jesus Christ.
Shun would love this, or is going to love this. I got one. If you guys are still thinking of one, is where do you take someone with a peekaboo accident?
Where?
The ICU.
It's going to be a long episode, everyone. I hate this so much. I don't have one. I'm not doing this with you. hate this.
That's fine.
Yeah, I don't know that I have one either, to be honest with you. I can't come up with it at the moment.
Oh, man. It's all good.
You know what? No, I Googled one.
I knew Adam had one in the arsenal.
This is Jeff. I hate this so much. I'm going to be a good sport. What do you call a sheep who can sing and dance?
What?
Lady Baba. Hate it here. So much.
Yes.
Oh. Well, Josh, we won't torch you with any more of these
Okay.
dad jokes. We're trying to figure out one. All right. So for this episode, we wanted to get Josh back on here to talk about his role as a medical director in general practice. So we're all just going to ask Josh some questions here, or ask you some questions. But basically, so after you dipped your toes into the veterinary field in GP and large animal, how did you become a medical director, or what made you decide to pursue to be a medical director?
Yeah, so I'll try to be as brief as I can. Worked in South Carolina in mixed animal medicine at a clinic there, in a small town right outside of Columbia. Found out really quick you were going to be extremely busy at working large animal. Did that for about 3 years, and I'm like, I need to take a step back. And so my fiance and I moved down here to Jacksonville, Florida, joined with a group called SVP. Have been working with them ever since. I think it'll be 3 years this coming October, I believe. They have a couple of different sister locations down here. The clinic in South Carolina was a walk-in only clinic, and so I was seeing a lot of people within a short period of time. And yes, it's kind of sucked at the time, but at the same time from there, like after you can handle that for 3 years, you can handle just about anything. And so I feel like SVP recognized that I can see quite a few people, and just kind of have some of those qualities of being a lead vet at one of the clinics. They had an opening and said, "Hey, do you want to take it?" And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds good." And not saying I was getting bored with just working as an associate, but it's a different challenge, and it's a different way to approach things. And so I was pretty excited to try something new. So
This is Adam. Uh, and these may be the same thing. I was just wondering if there's a kind of a difference, different roles, different responsibilities, or just kind of the same name for chief of staff versus medical director.
yeah, SVP describes it as lead vet. SVP is a company that owns a couple of different clinics around there, and so there is like a regional like medical director, and then you have the local medical directors are just of each clinics.
This is Jeff. So, what are your added responsibilities?
Yeah, so I'm essentially managing the clinic too. Some of the simple ones, and I say simple ones, but they're just different tasks. It's one thing whenever you're an associate, the boss is the one that lays out the protocols of, all right, this is our vaccine protocol. This is how we're going to approach these cases. This is how we're, going to do things. And if you didn't agree with them, yeah, you could obviously bring it up to them, but it was kind of their shot. And so you just kind of went with the flow. Now I have the opportunity to go in and like change it and make it how I want it to be, and want the clinic to be there. So, definitely the protocols of how we approach everything, how we approach clients, seeing whenever you're in this spot, you kind of see things differently. It's not just seeing one case at a time, or case by case. You're actually looking at how the entire hospital is going to flow, not only what I'm doing, but also what some of the other associates are doing, or what some of the other techs are doing. Or is there something that we're wasting time doing, a chore or some kind of responsibility, or something that needs to change, essentially. And really just managing people if there are any issues internal going on where, hey, I'm upset with this person, or this person's upset with this, upset clients, things like that. It's kind of my responsibility to kind of to come in and make a difference there and alleviate that. So I feel like that's what I do a lot, to be honest with you. Yeah, managing either our staff or clients that can be upset, I kind of step in and help out whatever I need to be, whatever I can do at that point in time.
To follow up on that, I guess I wanted to know also, like, what is your day to day like? So, do you still see cases at all in your new role, or is it mostly just I manage things, or how's your day split up?
Every day that we go into work, we're all gonna run into something that may be more challenging, and so hopefully you learned what you did wrong from yesterday. I definitely came into the role like, hey, I'm gonna just see as many cases as I can, bring in as many people as I can, and I probably didn't focus on the management part as much. But I've kind of taken a step back from that. I'm like, no, I'm gonna have this mandatory meeting in the middle of the day, and I'm not gonna be disturbed. Because I'm seeing that part of it's important. So I'm kind of growing and I'm very new at this. I'd say this is like 2.5 years that I've been in this position. Definitely a lot different than what I was when I first started. But yeah, day to day, I come in, I have appointments in the morning, appointments in the afternoon. There may not be a whole lot different for most of the days, but every Thursday I sit down and I meet with my manager, and we go over how the clinic is doing. And then every month we have a doctor's meeting where we leave the clinic and we sit down and we go, all right, these are the things that we're going to change up, or hey, do you guys have anything that we need to address, or anything during our staff meeting the next time. Right now we're doing like trainings for the techs, simple things like ear cytologies, how to read one, how to interpret it, and that way everyone's on the same page. And so I'm doing that not only for our vets, but also the rest of our staff too. So trying to organize a lot of that stuff. There's just making sure I'm setting time throughout the day. And of course, if there is something that comes up, whether staff members, clients, something like that needs to be addressed, then I kind of have to just squeeze it in the day along with my normal caseload.
So, have you adjusted your caseload at all to help out with your position, or is it just like you have certain tasks that you have to get done as a manager, and then you also see some cases?
We've just hired a new vet. Because of us hiring the new vet, I know that she's going to have, more questions, may need assisted every once in a while, and just may need some more mentorship. So I have kind of decreased the amount of, or my appointment times. I was seeing 20-minute appointments, cut it down to like 30 minutes now. And so outside of that, not really. And just being available more or less. So
And are you in charge, or are you a partner in like the hiring process of vets and techs and everybody?
yeah, definitely. Definitely a part of the process for the techs and some of the lower staff. My boss will actually be the one that hires any vet that comes by, but that decision it's gonna be we discussing that with each other. Because even if you've got like the best vet in the world, they may not just vibe with the clinic either. So you want it not only to match on with us, it needs to match with them too. And so trying to find that candidate that's going to work out really well, which we had a few of them come through. And luckily, because, I am with SVP, those candidates actually could have a decent choice. If there were 5 clinics that were in Jacksonville were looking for a vet, we can have them go through all 5 of them. And so that puts that new vet at a good advantage to, hey, I can find a place that I think I'm going to fit really well with too. So
That's awesome, and that kind of goes with another question we kind of have with like you're in the hiring process. It talks about with culture. We talked about this in the past in some other episodes. So how do you make the culture of the practice work? Like, what do you do, or is there anything specific that you do to make the practice have a good culture?
yeah. So again, I am one of those people that I'm a people person, so I'm going to talk. If I don't have anything to do, you might find me up in the front lobby, walking around, opening the door, and just talking to clients as they're walking in. They may even be there for a tech appointment. So the vets that we have with me, I feel like have some of those like personalities as well, and so it's easy to kind of gel with people that are very open and are more like that. Kind of going back to doing those trainings once a month, that was after sitting down with every one of our individual staffs of like, hey, what can I do? What can, myself and the manager do to make, your work life better? Is there something that, is missing out? And I feel like consistency and then like training, the techs and the staff that we have, they love to learn and they're like sponges. There's anything and everything. And one of my associates, I think he could easily be a professor because he loves to teach too. So it kind of works out like that. And so that was one of the things that I felt like a lot of people wanted. And so really, I think with the culture thing is just listening to your staff and figuring out a good solution there.
And this is Jeff, and I kind of want to ask, like, in your new roles, so all of us come from, obviously, we're a clinical background, being that we're veterinarians, like we get all this medical training, and you kind of learn, I think, intuitively in vet school, there's some kind of leadership involved in that, but we don't get a lot of management specific training. So I wanted to know for you, Josh, what was that like stepping into more of a management role? Did they give you any kind of preparation? Did you do anything on your own to kind of get ready, or do you just kind of learn as you go?
Yeah, so definitely learned as I went for a little while. That being said, they with SVP, they actually provided like a leadership, like I say a retreat. It was like a leadership training where I actually flew. They had a bunch of us fly in to the home base, and we did a course where, hey, these are what the responsibilities we think that you should do at your clinic, and a lot of them you've already kind of been doing anyways. But there were some really good guidelines, and here's some approaches on how to look at a profit and loss, sheet, which is very daunting whenever you look through very specific numbers with things like that. So they really did help me out a lot, kind of break down how to, go about some of these struggles that I potentially had. And a lot of them are, to me, I feel like making sure you set time to make meetings with your staff, with your manager, your associates. Because I'm one of those people that, like, yes, I'm not going to be bothered if you come in and interrupt me as I'm doing something. And I typically will go and try to help, but making sure you create that barrier saying, hey, unless there's like something crazy going on that needs to be addressed right now, like you need to respect my time. And that's probably been one of my bigger struggles because I am typically the one to just get up and just, here, I'm going to go ahead and get this done.
Do you see yourself having aspirations of wanting to continue to move up to like maybe a regional medical director role, or do you think you would miss seeing appointments, or what do you see for the future going forward?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know that I have a good solid answer right now. I feel like asking myself that question, what you said there at the end, I think I would probably miss seeing the appointments and just doing the daily thing of just like, all right, you know what, I've got all this management stuff to do. I know I need to get this done at the end of the day, but I'm actually gonna be pretty excited to see that puppy this morning, like, and it's kind of like a little bit of a break from some of that too. So, because like you guys too, I love what I do. I love being a vet. So I think I would miss the practicing part for sure.
Now that makes sense. This is Chris. So you kind of jumping back two questions. You said mentioned have like some challenges you face as a medical director. What are some common challenges you face, and what's a story you can share of maybe a tough day at the clinic recently?
Yeah. So last week we actually had the AC just went out in the whole clinic, and I came in about 9 o'clock, and I think when we were checking the thermostat, it was like at 85 by 10 o'clock in the morning. And down here in Jacksonville, Florida, this time of year, it gets pretty hot. So it actually rose pretty quick, and and it was taking a little while to get the repair done. Of course, you have someone come out, they're late getting there, and they're going, "Yeah, we need to go get this part." And it goes, "Okay." They leave, and like, okay, it's lunchtime, and we still haven't heard from them. I was like, "Are we going to try to power through this?" And I'm like sweating bullets. I'm looking around. The staff is kind of, you can already tell they're just a little upset because it is just like brutal. I'm like, we're just going to call it a day here. So it was unfortunate we had to do that, but luckily we were able to reschedule everyone. But you just never know what's going to happen. So with that, and of course that's like a problem. Like, how can you foresee that?
No, yeah, I mean that's definitely a challenge. I mean, no one knows when the AC is going to go out, and definitely it sucks in South or in North Florida in the middle of July. Like that's just a terrible time for the AC to go out. Were you guys affected by when this episode's recorded? Were you guys affected by the Microsoft outage this past Friday? I know our clinic was, and our office manager were trying to scramble to get the PCs up and running.
Yeah, we were not. It did not slow us down at all. As for most, when it comes to the technology stuff, I'm going to be pretty far away from that. Like, I have no idea what's going on. Luckily, SVP does have a pretty big IT like connection there for us too, that can remotely work in and get things set up. But it didn't really slow us down at all.
That's good. I've heard this. I mean, mixed. Our place wasn't hit too bad, but we had like half the computers were down, so it was more just like everyone was scrambling for the 4 or 5 computers that did work and trying to get notes done. But overall, it wasn't that big of a deal. But I was wondering if you guys had been affected by that at all.
Yeah, I do know that our system has crashed a few times, and I don't know the details of why. And that is extremely frustrating when you have 3 rooms here. You can't print labels off. You can't check people out. You're about to like, I guess I'm going to start handwriting on the labels, and like my handwriting is terrible, so that is not going to turn out well. But
And this is Jeff, and I totally understand that. And I kind of wanted to ask, maybe this is a loaded question, maybe not, but as far as like the pressure of the job, I know from like regular veterinary work, there's a lot of pressure to get through appointments and things and just do a good job in general. Do you feel like there's extra pressure with your added medical director duties when everything's like on your shoulders? Like if things are going wrong, there's just more things that are asked of you, or is it more like well, this is just part of the job, and you deal with it okay? Like, what is that like for you?
yeah, so again, starting out was pretty tough because I'm like, I don't know what I need to do in this situation. I know I need to be the one in charge. And so there was probably more pressure. And I will say, and I can't come up with a very specific problem, but a problem that I made a really big deal out of when I started. Now it will probably come to me as, oh, that's not a big deal. It's fine. So like, and that's just kind of the way it goes too. And, even like, I guess when you get out of vet school, that first case that you've got to manage. Like, all right, this is the first diabetes case. Like, you're going at home, you're sleeping and thinking about it. And now you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's that however many thousand case that I've done now. I've kind of got to I figured out how I'm going to go about this. So really, I would just kind of apply that the same way with the managing part. There's still some things that I haven't really experienced, and it's kind of just, take one step at a time and take on those challenges when they show up.
No, I feel that. I mean, I was going to actually make the same exact type of metaphor when you're talking about like a diabetes case. You're like, oh, like I hope it's doing okay. I've made all these medical choices. And I remember like for me, when I was putting things under anesthesia or like my first couple surgeries, I was like, oh God, I hope it just survives.
Yeah.
After a few, you're like, they usually do great, actually. Actually, mostly the patients do just fine. You just need to get through a few and it becomes old hat. Josh, I was going to ask you one more career-related question, which is if you could go back to before you had your position or give any advice to maybe clinicians who are interested in a medical director type job, what would you tell them?
Probably goes back to a little bit of what I've already alluded to, is to just take a step back and make sure you make time to focus on some of the managing parts. Because I feel like a lot of people that take on, some of these roles are expected to see a lot of cases, and they already probably have seen a lot of cases. And just to be good about balancing seeing cases and also making sure you make time to manage and focus on other things like, working with the staff, making sure you're having meetings, looking at the P&L sheets, things like that. And so that would be the biggest probably advice I would say there.
That's excellent.
And setting those boundaries too. So like, where our office is at, there's actually a window, so you can actually see me working in the office. And sometimes too, I'll just put a sticky note like in a meeting, like, and going over with your staff of like, hey, if it is an emergency, yes, interrupt the meeting. I do not want anything crazy happening, but if it can wait, it needs to wait. And just really explaining to them of where those boundaries are at too. Because obviously, if you have a dog that's seizing or something like that, and you're the only vet there, whatever you're doing there is not important. You need to go see the dog. But if it's, hey, so and so wants you to call them about a fecal, is that okay? That can be on the back of the list. That's something that can be brought up later. So really, just kind of setting those boundaries with your staff and making that time.
That's excellent. Thanks for the advice.
Yep.
Communication is always key.
Oh yeah.
Well, this is Chris. So kind of to round things up here again. So this is a question for the group, and kind of ending off this episode. What is the weirdest food any of you have ever eaten?
I think the weirdest food, and it's not an uncommon food, I just think it's disgusting, oysters.
Oh, love oysters.
Oh my God.
I love oysters.
I know he does.
You get me to a good oyster bar. Usually if the table's ordered oysters and I'll have 6 of them eaten when some people are like still on one. It goes, did you eat all those? I'm like, yeah, they're right there. They don't take very long to eat. You just chuck them and throw them in. Like,
Oh God, just like a large loogie to me. Like
yeah.
I'm the one gagging at the table thinking about all my choices. I got peer pressured actually into eating oysters once, even though I knew I wasn't going to like it. I was just like, I just know I'm not going to like this, which is probably part of the problem. I was in New Orleans at a bachelor's party, and of course everybody's like, come on. The whole table's got them. And I'm like, I think I'm going to hate it, y'all. And you know what? I was right.
I will try just about anything once. Now, don't hold me to that, because there are probably some things I will just absolutely not try. I'm not going to try to eat like a live octopus or something crazy like that, But probably the weirdest one for me is going to be a Rocky Mountain oyster. So essentially the bull testicle. That it was at a nice restaurant. They chopped it up into like chips and fried it. And like anything fried is probably going to be fine. So
Yeah.
This is Adam. For me, the first thing that comes to mind was actually when I was at a Purina dinner with you guys, when we ordered the bone marrow.
Mhm.
It was surprisingly pretty good. I'd never heard of eating bone marrow before, but actually it wasn't bad.
That was actually going to be I was waffling between oysters and the bone marrow. I also hate that.
Y'all are painting out a nice appetizer for me right now. Like I would take both of those easily.
Oh man,
Get me ready. Absolutely not.
so it's funny you said that oysters because Josh peer pressured me into eating oysters.
Oh, I do remember that. Yeah.
That was gross. And then my other one was with Josh as well, is when we went frog gigging and we ate frog legs.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
But like you say, you fry anything up and it tastes good. So we fried those up.
Oh yeah.
And those tasted pretty good. And maybe the other weird thing was squirrel meatballs. Did you go to that thing, Josh, that we went to in undergrad where everyone had like the big the big game dinner?
Yeah. They had turtle soup there too, I think. Maybe I should have. I didn't even think about that. They had all kinds of wild game there.
They did,
So-
yeah. Squirrel meatballs is probably the weirdest one there. But again, you would never have known unless he told you that. And then frog legs and oysters, those are. I'll do frog legs again. I'll do squirrel again. I won't do oysters again. That's just that's where I draw the line.
Yo, this is Jeff. You triggered a core memory. I had squirrel at a Friendsgiving once because two of the guys there were hunters, and what ruined me, like the squirrel itself, it's gamey, but it wasn't awful. It tastes like dark meat, but like there was buckshot in it. And then as soon as I bit into the buckshot, I was like, this might be it for me for squirrel.
Yeah.
Oh God. Oh man.
It was a bit country.
That's this big game dinner that we did was pretty much the same thing. It was just everyone shot something or had something that they've flown in for whatever. But yeah, we tried a lot of different meats that day, and it was good though. It was I had fun at the dinner. Well, thanks Josh for coming on to this episode, man. I'm happy to have you on. Yeah, it's been a long-time friend. We both were wannabe vets when we were younger, and now we finally did it, and it's awesome. Now it's kind of just coming full circle.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me. Hopefully that was some good stuff there.
Thank you once again for joining us on the Dogtor Bros.
If you would like to support us, please share this episode with others who may be interested in today's topic, and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Would you like to influence our next episode? We love hearing your opinions and thoughts. Your comments may be our next topic.
Please leave us suggestions via email at thedoctorbros@gmail.com, DM us at thedoctorbros on Instagram, or leave us comments on our posts. Again, this is Brandon. You can reach me at Dr. Mason IM on Instagram.
And this is Chris, and you can reach me on Instagram at dr.chrishernandez.
And this is Jeff. You can find me on TikTok or Instagram at DermDrJeff, DermDogtorJeff.
And this is Adam. You can reach me on Instagram at DrAdamDVM. That's DrAdamDVM.